More than 80% of the land in the South Australian Murray-Darling Basin region is used for producing food and fibre, from lamb, beef, pork, poultry, grains and fruit and vegetables, through to wool, milk, wine and fish. Hi, I'm Sharon Starrick. Welcome to my family farm. Our family has been farming in this area for 5 generations. 2014 is the International Year of Family Farming. Our Natural Resource Management Board wanted to celebrate the contribution that our farming families make to the South Australian Murray-Darling Basin and share with you some of our most successful farming families. The families we've chosen to showcase were nominated by other farmers and industry groups. We believe they represent what good farming is all about. They are seen as leaders in their industries.
Pig farming in this district and everywhere in the early 70s was just a sideline, and we over the years built into a business.
To give an idea of the progression over the last 35 years, when Peter and I first married, and before that when he first left school, we probably had the tune of 4,000 acres, and then we started off with 100 sows, and then over the next 35 years we kept multiplying the number of sows, so it went from 100 to 200 to 400 and so it's progressed to this present day of 1,650 sows, and along that time it required more land with cereal growing to feed the piggery, so the progression was, the cash flow was such that we were able to build up the piggery and build up the land holding as well. So current land holding is about 30,000 acres, starting off at about 6,000 I think, or somewhere around about.
Our farming families play an important role in looking after our natural resources.
A few years ago, a next door neighbouring property came up. It was predominantly non-arable, about 2/3 of it were non-arable, and it was terribly ate out. The chap before it had really struggled, and we'd written those grasslands off. We had a look at them and said, well, you know, it's close handy, we'll graze them a little bit. Then we started to learn about native grasses, and I became involved in the Mid-North Native Grass Working Group, and we ran trial plots and realised that by managing those native grasses really well, we could get them to grow and expand and cover the ground again. And then the stewardship campaign came along, run by the Federal Environment Department or government, and we're able to get stewardship on that. So we can now afford not to graze them. That's keeping the grasses growing, and we're growing. A lot of the pepper and box was getting pretty old. That's now an endangered species, and so we've had tremendous regeneration of pepper and box.
So this farm's got a fair bit of good swamp country, and it's got a fair few rare species of plants and birds, and the creek systems is a fairly diverse and fairly clean, protected creek. So we've undergone some funded fencing from the Gore to Wellington Lap. So this is a good example of a typical swamp around Mount Compass, and so now that we've got it fenced off, there won't be any stock ever in there, so that'll just thicken up over time, and also each year a certain amount of weed control gets done in the swamp just to maintain it.
Supporting their communities and a willingness to lend a hand is a priority for these families.
I'm on the committee of the Local Action Planning Group, been a board member of the Renmark Irrigation Trust for about 16 years.
I'm also in the Bookmark Creek Action Group, is one of the groups supported by the Local Action Planning Association.
And we also sponsor the Berry Farmers Market. We're also unit holders of a wetland down just north of Murray Bridge called Paiwalla.
Well, we are members of Food Riverland, which is an organisation to help promote food culture within the Riverland.
On behalf of the Natural Resources Management Board, I'd like to thank our farming families for sharing their stories and acknowledge their contribution that they make to our region and our country. The best way you can support our farming families is to ask the question, where does my food come from? Buy local, shop at farmers markets, check labels at the supermarket and buy directly from the farm gate.